big fish. It's the man down. The truth, Errol Spence himself. I mean, he's pretty much the WBC franchise champion at 147 pounds. Let's send out our blessings. Blessed love and blessed day. Oh, boxing world, boxing nation, fighting world, fight nation. It's Coach Fire and this is real life boxing. Before we get into the video, best double jab straight down the pipe with the left hook behind it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified when all new content is being uploaded on the channel of Real Life Boxing. Put the left hook behind it and share the video, please and thank you. Errol, the big fish, Mr. Man Down. The truth, it's strap season. Spence is scheduled to be fighting Keith one time, not Bud Thurman, in April. But it's at 154 pounds and everybody's been asking why. Well, Mauricio Sulaiman did a very nice interview with Ness in the Boxing Voice and those guys, and he answered some questions. I mean, they asked him great questions. Ness was asking questions from the fans and asking questions of himself about the situation and about Errol Spence moving up to 154 pounds with Keith Thurman being his mandatory. And Mauricio Sulaiman had some very, very, very interesting things to say. I'm going to let you guys listen to what Mauricio Sulaiman had to say. But before I do that, gotta ask you guys some questions, man. Do you guys think that Errol Spence is the franchise champion at 147 pounds? Since when does a fighter get to deal with his mandatory at the weight class above the weight class that he's mandated in? But you guys listen to what Mauricio Sulaiman had to say. I'm gonna run it for you guys.
So I got Ruin the 504, kind of something you touched on, but I guess it's worded differently. It says, how can Errol Spence go up to 154, fight a guy that is supposed to be his mandatory at 147 and not get stripped? But you said he requested this.
Well, you don't get stripped because he's fighting, he's active. He's fighting the fighter that was mandated. There's many precedents.
Hey, hold up. He said Errol Spence requested this. And in the past, we know that when it came to the franchise championship, the fighters requested it.
Precedents of champions fighting over the weight. And that's what I was saying before. After that fight, we will see if he decides to come back to welter. He wants to try super welter. We will see what happens, but it is not against any rule. It is perfectly under the rules, and that's why that fight is going to be a WBC official event.
Okay, so I'm going to play some more, but he said, somebody asked, Keith Thurman is his mandatory at 147. How come he's fighting at 154? And he said, well, he's fighting, and he can fight his mandatory at 154 pounds. But since when?
So again, I'm not trying to get in your pockets or the WBCs, but just to be clear, he still has to pay sanctioning then for the fight.
Well, it's an official WBC fight, and the WBC will certainly sanction the fight. Yes.
Okay. So then I mean, it's a mandatory in some form. It's just out of the weight class. I mean, because if you're sanctioning it, he's paying the fee. The fight is. So another question someone had is, will there be I'm horrible with that word, but you know, you made a Errol belt. You made, you always make special belts for special occasions. Any special belt for this fight, being as though that the 47 technically is not on the line?
I don't believe so. Usually we do, May 5th and September 16th for a reason. June 19th for the Juneteenth, the Freedom Belt. But other belts that are done as a special trophy for a great event are usually requested by the promoters, the fighters. It is agreed and it is happened. For this fight, nothing has been discussed.
So the complimentary belts.
But those belts
they're talking about the complimentary belts that they be making. Canelo Alvarez must have 100 of them. But he's saying those are also requested by the organizations, by the networks or by the fighters if they can have
trophies. They're not championships, so
a complimentary belt.
I think it's clear It gives a added value and just a beautiful art, but it has no essence.
Significance?
It has significance, but no repercussion. That's it's not a championship.
And at 54, is there any silver? Because the interim is Sebastian Fundura. Is the silver vacant? And is there any possibility? Because Earl is still your...
So Ness is asking him some very, very, very good questions, and he's trying to get to the bottom, of the situation, because Mauricio Sulaiman is telling him, well, his mandatory, even though they're welterweights, he can deal with his mandatory at 154 pounds. And Ness is saying, all right, well, if he does that, like, is the belt on the line, or does he get a complimentary belt? Like, what if Keith Thurman beats Errol Spence? Does he get a belt? All of that is later on down into the interview, but a really, really, really good interview. But since when can fighters move up to another weight class to handle their mandatory? You know what I'm saying? To me, that sounds like Errol Spence is the franchise champion, because with the franchise champion, well, you just don't have to deal with your mandatories. You know what I'm saying? So, and you can move up and down in weight class as you please. You know what I'm saying? So, is this a form of allowing Errol Spence to be a franchise champion? Is this some form of franchise champion in here? Because Errol Spence is not defending his belt. I guess he's dealing with the mandatory up at 154 pounds, but that shit don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about the fight itself. Like I said, I like the fight, but the fight being at 154 pounds with Keith Thurman being Errol Spence's mandatory at 147 pounds just really don't make no sense. Let me play some more of the interview. Let me see if we can get to that part where he asks him.
And if he's not gonna move down, he's gonna be highly ranked at 54 anyway. So I don't know, just making sure, trying to cross all my T's before you're gone.
Well, this part of these discussions are, and I like it. It's like fans trying to do fantasy matches, which is adorable.
I thought that was interesting, because no, it's not fans trying to do fantasy matchups. It's fans trying to get the reality matchups, like the real matches that we want in real life. It has nothing to do with fantasy.
Very unfortunately, Charlo injured, and he will not fight Siu at this time. We don't know if that fight is gonna be taking place at a later date. We will address that. We have Tony Harrison is a silver champion.
Okay, so now he's talking about the 154 pound division, because Ness is really trying to dive deep into the situation, saying, well, what happens? Who are the other champions at 154 pounds? We know Jamel Charlo is undisputed, but what about the diamond belt up there? And what about the what do they call it? The interim belts up there. So Fundura is the interim, I believe, right? And then Tony Harrison is the silver. So he's asking him, well, what about those belts up there? Like, is there something that Keith or Errol can get up there if they were to win this fight? So Ness is just really trying to dive deep into the situation. But eventually Mauricio Sulaiman just kind of ends it. You know what I'm saying? He's being really polite to Ness, and Ness is being really polite as well, with the questions. And eventually Mauricio Sulaiman just kind of ends it and says he doesn't want to dig too much, deeper into the situation, but that's what they have right now with Errol Spence. He is allowed to move up to 154 pounds to complete to fulfill his mandatory in Keith Thurman. It's a WBC sanctioned event. The belt will not be on the line, and they're waiting to see what Errol Spence is doing when he finishes with Keith Thurman. I like that Ness tries to dig deeper into the 154 pound division, because like I said in one of my prior videos, I do believe that Errol Spence will stay at 154 pounds, and they will then start looking for a way to get Errol Spence a belt up there at 154 pounds. I can see them stripping Jermell Charlo of one of the belts, particularly the IBF, to get that to Errol Spence. But Errol Spence was asked, will he fight Jermell Charlo? And Jermell Charlo, and Errol Spence said, yes, I never said I won't fight anybody. And I believe they asked Jermell Charlo the same question, and Jermell said, hell yeah, I'll fight Errol. We can do like a high quality sparring match and get a bag. You know what I'm saying? And I'm kind of leaning on that's what's gonna happen. You guys tell me what y'all think about it in the comment section, and I mean later down into the future. You guys tell me what y'all think about it in the comment section, and until then, keep fighting your fight and protect yourself at all times. Peace and one love. Is Coach Fire. This is Real Life Boxing.